Welcome to another episode of Legal Stories, where we break down complex legal cases into simple, digestible insights. Today, we will delve into a fascinating inheritance dispute case. We will explore the relevant legal principles and what you need to know about qualifying as a child or dependent of an estate. In this case, Clara, as the executrix of the estate of the late Donald, faced a legal battle against Hellen, representing herself and other beneficiaries. The core issue was the validity of the late Donald's will and the status of Rebecca as a beneficiary. Hellen and her siblings contested the will of Donald, claiming that the will was forged. They pointed out that the signature on the will did not match the deceased's known signature. They argued that Rebecca, listed as a beneficiary, was not a biological or adopted child of the deceased but rather a stepchild. The court found the will to be null and void due to the forgery, revoked the grant of probate, and directed the estate to be administered under the Intestate Succession Act. The court determined that the signature on the will differed materially from Donald's known signatures. The court held that the estate should be administered according to the Intestate Succession Act, as the will was deemed invalid. The court initially ruled that Rebecca, being a stepchild, was entitled to the children's share of the estate. However, this was challenged on the grounds that she did not meet the legal definition of a child under the Intestate Succession Act. According to the Intestate Succession Act of Zambia, child includes biological children, adopted children, and children conceived but not yet born. It does not include stepchildren unless they have been legally adopted by the deceased. A dependent is typically someone who relied on the deceased for financial support. This can include spouses, minor children, and sometimes other relatives if they were financially dependent on the deceased. The court concluded that Rebecca, who was listed as a beneficiary in the will, did not qualify as a child of the deceased under the Intestate Succession Act. The court found that Rebecca was not a biological or adopted child of the late Donald, but rather a stepchild. Since she had not been legally adopted by the deceased, she did not meet the legal definition of a child under the Act and was, therefore, not entitled to the children's share of the estate. The initial ruling that had recognized her as a beneficiary was overturned based on this interpretation of the law. What are some of the legal principles and lessons we can learn from this case? Ensure valid wills. Always ensure that wills are properly signed and witnessed to avoid disputes. Understanding beneficiary status. Stepchildren must be legally adopted to inherit under the intestate succession laws. Legal definitions matter. Precise legal definitions are crucial in inheritance cases, impacting who qualifies as a beneficiary. This case highlights the importance of clear and legally compliant wills and the necessity of understanding who qualifies as a beneficiary under the law. If you are dealing with similar issues, it is essential to seek legal advice. For more educational legal stories and insights, follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Stay informed and empowered with legal stories.